I'm Serena Burdick, author of The Girls with No Names, and I'm standing in Inwood Hill Park in Upper Manhattan, where this picturesque, beautiful hillside holds a surprisingly dark past. In 1913, the year that my novel takes place, on this plateau stood a massive building called the House of Mercy. It was a religious institution that imprisoned wayward girls. The definition of wayward being unpredictable and hard to control, but not criminal. The protagonist, Effie Tilden, in my novel, best describes it. The house was a massive brick structure on a high plateau overlooking the Hudson River, a battlement defending its stronghold. Rooftop and gable dormers seemed to stretch for miles, looking out over a vertiginous groomed lawn, fortified at its base by a lofty white wall. I could see the thickly wooded valley and the river, a winding slice of gunmetal reflecting the dismal sky. I followed Herbert up the wide stone steps and through the arched portico, where leafless vines, thick with age, snaked up the mortar to the top of the parapet and disappeared through the holes in the balustrade. The gong at the front door reverberated loudly as Herbert rang it. Quick footsteps sounded, and the door opened. When Effie's sister Luella goes missing, Effie's convinced that their father, a wealthy New Yorker still clinging to old Victorian values, has committed her to the House of Mercy. This after the sisters have been caught sneaking into these woods to visit a community of Romani immigrants who are camping here in their caravans. The book is fiction, but the Romani immigrants really did camp here in Inwood at the turn of the 19th century. And the House of Mercy really did imprison young women who had committed no crimes. They could be committed by a father, a brother, or an uncle, simply because these men believed that these women needed to be reformed. They were sentenced to a minimum of 3 years, confined to their dormitory, chapel, and the laundry room, where they washed clothes for the church that made millions of dollars off of their laundry service. It was nothing short of slave labor. And if they misbehaved, they were punished. Their hair was shorn to the scalp, hair being such an unruly source of vanity. They were put in straitjackets or thrown in the basement and locked in solitary confinement. In my story, Effie becomes so obsessed with the idea that her sister is in the House of Mercy, she decides to commit herself. Only when the iron gates clang shut behind her and she enters the vast halls, she realizes she has made a terrible mistake. Behind locked doors and barred windows, she will meet a tenacious girl named Mabel, my personal favorite character. As Mabel's dark past unfolds, these girls form an unlikely friendship. And when they attempt an escape from the House of Mercy, they discover they need each other in ways that they never imagined. In writing this book, I read many real-life accounts of women who suffered the horrors of the House of Mercy. Like Effie and Mabel, a number of them tried to escape. They leapt from windows, ran down the hillside, and scrambled over a stone wall that used to border the property. They broke ankles, bruised ribs, ripped clothing, but if they could keep running, they did. Some managed to escape, but most were picked up by the policemen who hunted them down with dogs. And some, like the girl who jumped too close to the rocks and broke 19 bones in her body, died trying. Their graves went unmarked, and the girls' names have long since been forgotten. In the fictional characters of Effie, Luella, and Mabel, it was my hope to in some small way resurrect these young women and give them back their voices. It is a story of sisterhood, friendship, and ultimately the will of these powerful women to survive.